About a week ago, there was a conference held at the Vatican, an international conference from March the 7th to March the 9th, with a number of different religions present. We're going to play a short video from that event that was held at the Vatican, and then I'm going to come back and show you the proof that Adventists have united with this movement of sustainable development and Agenda 2030, which is an abomination for any one of God's people to be united with such a movement. Watch this video.
Rarely are Buddhists, Muslims, Sikhs, Jews, and even Aboriginal Africans seen together in the Vatican at the same time. However, for 3 days, the world's smallest state welcomed a wide range of representatives from different religions and the United Nations to examine religions and the Sustainable Development Goals. It was organized by the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development. It brought together more than 100 representatives to see what religions can do to help achieve goals such as ending poverty, education, and access to health care for all.
We have all the leaders come together, religious leaders, and secular leaders are also here. I find that progressively religion is being recognized, that it has something to offer. I have a lot of respect for the Holy Pope because he's a people's Pope and he wants to swim sometimes against the tide. It is sometimes difficult.
This international conference aims to show how religious voices can contribute to achieving the UN's global conversion on human development and sustainable development goals.
Why we're here and why it's important is about 80% of people across the globe adhere to some faith tradition, and despite that, some of the multilateral entities that have been set up to respond to global challenges, such as the UN and others, don't always listen to the faith voices.
For the first time, the Vatican has helped create a debate on the UN's Sustainable Development Goals from a religious perspective.
The religious leaders should be honest and sincere to come out and work together. We take this opportunity to work for the poor, to work for the downtrodden, and to work for peace.
For us, it was an opportunity to invite many representatives of religious community to know one another, to develop a concept of partnership between religions and actors, political actors, economical actors, ecological actors in the world.
On September 25, 2015, the United Nations succeeded in getting world leaders to adopt a set of global goals to eradicate poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all. It's part of their new Sustainable Development Agenda. Each objective has specific goals to be achieved by 2030. However, the support of governments is not enough and requires the commitment of each person. The assistance of religions is also vital in achieving these goals.
So you just watched the video showing how different religions came together at the Vatican concerning sustainable development, which is just another word for climate change, because this also addresses the issues surrounding climate change. Now, notice what this article says here from Vatican News. Pope, sustainable development rooted in ethical values. The article goes on to say, Pope Francis on Friday, that Friday was March the 8th, meets with participants in an international conference entitled Religions and the Sustainable Development Goals. It goes on to say, in 2015, Pope Francis addressed the UN General Assembly in New York shortly before member states unanimously adopted Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. Fast forward to 2019, and the Pope was in the Vatican on Friday, where he greeted participants taking part in a 2-day international conference entitled Religions and the Sustainable Development Goals, listening to the cry of the earth and the poor. Again, climate change. These are all code terms for climate change. Now let us come over to another article that was put out by Adventist Review, and here it says, Adventists seek new approaches to humanitarian development. Notice it says new approaches. So we're not using old methods, we're using new methods. Notice what it goes on to say. The 5th Annual Symposium on the Role of Faith-Based Organizations in International Affairs, held January 29, 2019, at the United Nations Secretariat in New York City, New York, United States, was co-organized by the Seventh-day Adventist Church and focused this year on practical and ethical issues surrounding development funding. It goes on to read, more than 300 people attended, representing both the UN community and a diverse range of organizations, including Protestant, Catholic, Islamic, and Jewish groups. Speakers throughout the day echoed this key theme, emphasizing the important role religion and faith-based organizations can play as the UN pursues its far-reaching development agenda known as the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. These 17 goals, set by the UN in 2015 as its guiding objectives for the next 15 years, encompass a range of humanitarian challenges ranging from eradicating poverty and hunger to overcoming the scourge of illiteracy. So here we see Adventists co-organizing an event at the United Nations Secretariat in New York, pushing the same agenda as the Pope, the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. And these are 17 goals that was put together at the UN in 2015. This is all in line with the climate change agenda. And we know that the Pope has the ear of those who are at the UN. And when we understand what the Pope's solution for climate change is, very clearly it is Sunday observance. Notice what this reads. It says this was in the Laudato Si encyclical written in 2015 by Pope Francis, referring to solutions for climate change. It goes on to say, on Sunday, our participation in the Eucharist has special importance. Sunday, like the Jewish Sabbath, is meant to be a day which heals our relationships with God, with ourselves, with others, and with the world. Sunday is the day of the resurrection, the first day of the new creation, referring to the world, referring to the care for the common home, referring to planet Earth, referring to solution for climate change, showing you and I that this whole agenda of climate change, Agenda 2030, and the Paris Climate Accord is all leading to the worship and the honor and observance of Sunday, which is completely opposed to the Bible. The Bible teaches that the seventh day, Saturday, is still God's holy day. And the Pope is pushing forward his agenda, showing us that Adventists have united with Agenda 2030, which is going to lead to a national Sunday law. Brothers and sisters, it is time for us to be about our Father's business, enlightening the world with the truth of God's 7-day Sabbath, with the truth of the first, second, and third angels' message. Now more than ever, we must unite with God in pushing forward his agenda of taking this message to all nations, to all people, to all those who will give us a listening ear as the Pope is pushing forward his agenda with the 2030 agenda. What side will you stand on? Will you stand on the side of Christ, pushing forward the Sabbath truth and Bible truth, or will you stand with the Pope, pushing Sunday and the 2030 agenda? Clearly, Ganoon Diop is showing us whose side he's standing on as he is working right along with these Catholics and Jesuits in pushing forward Agenda 2030. Here he is at this meeting that was held in New York on January the 29th, and he is up front addressing those who are present at this meeting. Now, he is the director of public affairs and religious liberty for the Adventist Church, and he is apostatized. We clearly have exposed this brother in the past, and we know his workings and dealings with the Pope at various ecumenical meetings in the past that we've put out videos on concerning him. Brothers and sisters, let us not follow blind leadership, because this is clearly going to lead to leadership within the Seventh-day Adventist Church telling its members to worship on Sunday. That is where we are headed, brothers and sisters. Do not be surprised when the leadership within the Seventh-day Adventist Church tell you to worship on Sunday. Do not be surprised. May God give us the faith to boldly stand against the apostasy and those who are betraying the trust and responsibilities of being shepherds and leaders of God's people. Let us cry aloud and spare not, because time is short and souls are at stake. We cannot understand the value of a soul without looking at Calvary. And when we look at what Jesus did on the cross, we will understand the war, the spiritual war that we are in this hour in Earth's history. Let us not play games, brothers and sisters. Let us be about our Father's business. Let us lighten the earth with God's glory at this hour in Earth's history. May God be with you.